everybody, and welcome back to the Stone Dogs 40k. Another change of direction for this video. For those of you that know, I've been struggling with getting 40k content out for a while now, just purely because of time. Work's been getting in the way. Got a new daughter, well, she's 3 now, but she's taking up a lot of my time as well. So a lot of my time is being spent doing other things. However, I've got some board game content which is coming out in the next few months. This is the first of that content. This is a review of Dungeon, the D&D fantasy board game. So go and grab a cup of tea and some biscuits if you wish, and I'll see you in a minute. So welcome back, and let's have a look at Dungeon. So Dungeon is a board game for up to 8 players. You can play it solo. There are some solo missions in the rules, which I'll talk about in a second. However, the main game, 8 players, up to 8 players. You've got 4 character classes. So you've got the usual rogue, cleric, fighter and wizard, 2 of each. They are represented by these little card standees here, so there's 2 of each colour. And yeah, so this game has been about since 1975 apparently. I didn't realise it's quite old, so it obviously was released sort of not long after the original D&D game came onto the market. TSR apparently released this initially in 1975, and then Wizards of the Coast took over in 2012. Just turn the box over so you can see what's in the box. So obviously you've got the main board, which you can see here. You've got different kinds of cards. There's 6 levels on the board, so you've got level 1, level 2, level 3 is the orange, level 4 is the purple, level 5 is, I think, the blue, is that right? Yeah, level 5 is the blue, and then level 6 is this sort of turquoise colour. So the kind of the challenges get harder depending on what level you're on. You've got rooms, which are the colour blocks, and then chambers, which are these kind of open areas. You can see just here, chamber, and then there's some sort of supporting information along the bottom of the board here, which we'll look at in a minute. So you've got monster cards, treasure cards. There's also tokens, which I've separated out over here. So you've got some numbered tokens here. You've got some modifier tokens, some miss a turn tokens, and some corpse tokens. These ones are to signify if and when you kill a monster. And I'm using, as this sort of demo game, I'm just using the second of the character classes just to track movement and turns, etc. Just down on the bottom right of the board. So just pop the box off to the side. So there's also a sort of an interesting kind of way that this game works in terms of movement, because you don't actually roll dice to move. Every character has a standard 5 move. The dice are simply there for fighting monsters and for deciding if you take damage or not. So the cards for the monsters are shown with a dragon on the back, and then the treasure cards obviously have the treasure hoard on the back. Different levels signifying where you are on the board. And then for the wizard, there's 3 types of spell. You've got teleportation, lightning ball, or lightning strike, or fireball. I'll come on to how those work as we get into the game. Rule sheet is pretty basic. So the rule sheet is just literally paper. There's no rule book as such. So you've got quick introduction to get you started straight away. Goes into a bit more detail about what's in the game and what the bits of the board signify. A bit more about the cards, etc. And then tells you about the character classes. So you've got the rogue, the fighter, the cleric and the wizard. And it tells you that some of them are better on certain levels depending on kind of what level you're on. Some heroes will do a better job. And then on the back is the kind of the actual proper rules, as it were. So it gives you more detail on each stage of the turn. Gives you some examples of what things look like. Combat, looting for treasure, secret doors. There's some special cards that do special things. There's a magic sword that you can win where those modifiers come in, so that gives you +1 or +2 to hit. And then there's the rules for solo gameplay down here. So if you're playing on your own, you can play 3 different types of game. You can do a treasure hunt, so you'd basically draw a treasure card from level 1. So for example, that one, and then you shuffle that back into the deck. And the idea is that you find that card before your hero is killed, and then you just work your way up through the levels, depending on how hard you want the game to be. Timed game, so try and win within 30 minutes, and then become the hunted. And this one, you basically draw a level 6 monster card, place it face down, and then use one of the other hero standees. So, for example, if you were playing as the cleric, then you could, or I think that's the fighter actually, but if you were playing as the fighter, then you could use the rogue to represent that monster. You would then place it in any level 6 room, so level 6 is down here, so say place it there, and then that moves automatically 5 towards you while you're moving, and then the idea is that if you come into contact with it, you have to kill it to win. And you can just keep upping the ante on that if you want to. So yeah, so that's kind of the basic premise of the game. I've given it a couple of plays through, and it's okay actually. You know, I mean, it's I think if you've got a group of regular gamers that want something just simple and easy, just to while away a few hours, you could almost play this and play it almost like a league. So you could have like a kind of a almost like a league table of who's won how much money kind of thing, and that is basically the premise of the game. Each of the characters has a level of money that they need to win or need to find to actually win the game. So if you look down at the bottom of the board, just down here, it tells you for the rogue to win, he's the green. He can pass through secret doors on a roll of 3 to 6. He has to win 10,000 gold pieces. Tells you there that actually he's best off in levels 1 to 3 because that's where his attributes really kind of are most effective. Similarly, cleric in blue, 5 to 6 for secret doors, again 10,000. Best levels 2 to 4. So it tells you kind of where you need to go, kind of thing, to get the best out of your character. And then the wizard is marked as not being able to use magic swords, but can use spell cards, which we'll come on to shortly. Just a bit further over on the board, you've got the sequence of play, so it tells you what to do and when. And then over here, it tells you what happens if you don't defeat a monster. So if you're fighting a monster and you don't kill it, then this is kind of what it does to you, sort of thing. But again, we'll cover that off in our demo game in a second. And then this just tells you what the symbols are on the board. Now these numbers down here will become kind of obvious as we go into the game, because as this takes effect, you'll see here it says select a new hero, blah 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 blah, seriously hurt, drop half your treasure, round up and place your hero back at the Great Hall. This isn't the full detail of what happens when the monsters fight back, so that will explain what goes on with these numbers down at the bottom when we get to that point. So without further ado, let's give this a bit of a demo game. I'm playing as all 4, but we're going to roll for initiative and then go in order. Okay, so I've rolled for initiative and we're going to go first, second, third and fourth. So basically the game starts with whoever's going first, which in this case is the cleric in blue, and you can move up to 5. If you end your move or any part of your move in a room, then you have to conduct the follow the actions for the turn. Otherwise, you pass your turn to the next player. So we're going to start with the cleric, and he is going to go 1. No, he's not. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and go immediately into this room on level 1. You can see this is the Great Hall in the middle. That will become obvious as we go through the game, because if you get killed you have to start again from the Great Hall. And although the other chambers are marked as chambers, not chambers as such, but these are rooms, these are chambers. These areas are slightly different to a room, and I'll explain why as we get to them. The Great Hall doesn't count as a chamber. Okay, so that is important for later in the game. So he's gone into a room, which basically means he's in a level 1 room, so we have to draw a level 1 monster card. So level 1 monster. Level 1 monster. So we've got a goblin. Now you can see from this, you've got green, blue, purple, red, and then an orange and a yellow symbol with a number underneath. And that's basically what you have to roll in order to defeat that monster. Okay, so green is obviously the cleric, the rogue. Blue is the cleric, purple is the fighter, and red is the wizard. The orange and the yellow are actually spells, so you've got the orange, which is for fireball, and the yellow, which is for lightning strike. So he's got to roll a 4 basically to defeat the goblin. So you take your 2 dice, you have to roll a 4 or higher, which, well, we do, roll a 9, so that goblin is defeated. So the goblin card goes back on discard over there. Okay, and then what we would do is we would take 1 token from the corpse pile and put it in that room, and that basically signifies anyone else going into that room does not have to fight the monster because it's already been killed. We then draw 1 treasure token for level 1, and we have drawn a magic sword. So for the cleric, a magic sword, what we would need to roll is 2d6, and we roll a 7, which means 2 to 11 is +1, 12 is +2. So we get +1 on our magic sword. So the card goes with our player, and that has a +1 on it. Now you'll also see that's got a value on the bottom, 500, so that counts towards our total. Okay, so going back to the board over here, we can see that our cleric needs to achieve 10,000 GP to win. We've already got 500. So that's a relatively modest start, but that is our turnover. So it's very quick and very easy. So next is the fighter. The fighter is going to go into a room also. So he's going to go, or she, is it a he or a she? It's a she. She's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 into that room. So again, draw a level 1 card. And we get a direct. Now the fighter needs to roll a 3, as we can see from the purple number. Rolls a 7, so defeats the monster. The monster goes back on the level 1 discard, and then we need to put a token on there. When I was playing, to get my head around the kind of the rules, which didn't take long to be honest, I kept forgetting to put these tokens on the rooms. So it's important that you do that, because that obviously signifies that there's nothing in that room anymore. And we've got, look at that, a sack of gold for 250 GP. So that goes with our character, and that's turnover. So next we've got the wizard. The wizard is the red token just here. So he is, so she again, I think. So she is going to go 2, 3, 4 into that room. Okay, so draw a card. It is goblin. So wizard needs to roll a 5. Rolls an 11. Goblin is killed. Corpse token goes in there. And then we draw a treasure card. And we get another sack of gold for 500. Okay, and then finally the rogue. And just as an example, just to sort of see what happens if you go down a corridor. We're going to go this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. So if you don't land in a room or a chamber, your turn ends. Quite simple. Okay, so jumping ahead slightly, I just did a couple of turns with the characters just to get to this point. Secret doors. So secret doors are marked on the map by this little kind of line just here. So there's one there. You can see there's one here, one here. So these are secret doors that join rooms or corridors together. Everybody but the rogue can open a secret door on a 5 or a 6. So the rogue can open a secret door on a 3+. Now you can stop next to a secret door and roll to see if you can open it, and if you can open it, you can continue moving. However, if you fail the roll, you cannot open the secret door and you stop moving, and that is basically the end of your turn. So so I'm just going to roll for the wizard just to see if he can open that secret door, and he rolls a 1, so he can't open the secret door and he has to stop where he is. That is the end of his turn. So here's another little interesting bit about this game. So the cleric has just moved into this room here, which is a level 2 room. Okay, drawn a monster card from the level 2 deck, which is this one, which is a cage trap. So cage traps and slide traps is the other kind of trap. The cage trap, basically you gain 1 treasure. So we draw a level 2 treasure from the cards, and we get 1,000 gold pieces silver cup, so that can go with him. And then we have to roll as per the card to see how many turns we lose. So he's rolled a 2, so he loses 1 turn. So basically what you do is you take a miss a turn token, which is one of those, and place it there. So when his turn comes around again, we discard that token, and then play moves on to the next character. So the wizard finally managed to open the secret door and has moved into this room and defeated the monster and drawn a treasure card, and the treasure card is secret door. So this is worth 500 gold pieces, but it basically means that now the wizard can move through any secret door on the map without having to roll, which means unlimited movement basically. So that's great. So that can go down with his character. Now the other thing that I didn't do for the wizard is roll up the spells, silly me. So basically for the spells, you roll a d6 and add 1 to the result. So we get 3, so +1 is 4, and we get to choose 4 spell cards for the wizard. So each spell card can be used once during the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose 2 fireballs, 1 lightning, and 1 teleport. There we go. So those can go over here with the wizard, and we'll come on to those when we get to that point. Okay, now the cleric has just moved from this room to this room, and everything went according to plan. Fought a skeleton and beat it, and then drew another sack of gold for 750 gold pieces, and then it was the turn of the fighter. Now the fighter's got a miss a turn token, which he picked up in the last turn. So all we do for the fighter literally is discard that token, and that's his turn done. And then we move on to the wizard again. Okay, so got to the rogue's turn. The rogue decided to move into this room at the end, which is a level 4 room. You can tell the level because it's linked to this chamber just here. The cell's level 4. Okay, now drew a monster card and drew Drow, which is this one. You can see from the green symbol on the left hand end that the rogue needs to roll a 10 to defeat this monster. However, he rolled 8, so that means that the monster has beaten him. So when that happens, basically what we do is we have to use these numbers down here. So you would take a number 1, because we're on the first monster of this, or first stage of this kind of process. We put a number 1 on that chamber. Okay, the number 1 relates to the Drow, which is undefeated. So the Drow goes down here next to the number 1. Just move that forward a little bit so we can see that. Okay, and then what we do is we roll 2 dice for the monster fighting back, and we roll a 9, and then we consult this table, which you'll remember I mentioned earlier on. Now what it says on there is that your hurt, 8 to 10 is hurt, drop 1 random treasure card and retreat 1 space, lose 1 turn. However, if you consult the actual rules sheet, it gives you a little bit more detail. On the rules sheet for a 9, what it says is drop 1 random treasure card. Okay, now he's only got 1 random treasure card, which is, where are you? Which is this one. Okay, so that is now dropped. Move your hero back 1 space in the direction he or she came. Take 1 lose a turn token. Put the monster's card by the first open number slot and put the matching number token in the room or chamber. Your turn ends. So we've done that. We've put the monster next to the number 1. We've put the number 1 in the room. We need to take a miss a turn token and put it here. And we have dropped 1 of the treasure tokens. So that's basically what happens if you don't defeat a monster. One of the things that isn't clear in the rules is what happens to the dropped treasure cards. So this card has been dropped by the rogue. Doesn't actually say where it goes. Now my assumption is that it goes in here because it's been dropped in that room. It relates to number 1, so it should go here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it underneath the monster because you always draw the monster card first. So anyone else that goes into that room, or even if the rogue, because the rogue needs to move back 1 space, anyone else that goes into that room will immediately draw this card rather than drawing 1 from the deck over there. So that makes sense to me. However, something else came up in the rules that actually said that that card couldn't be picked up. So that's what confused me a little bit. But I'll play it like that for this time round, and then we'll see how it works out. The cleric has just moved into this room, which is a level 2 room, and has drawn a card which is a ghoul, which is down here. So he needs to roll a 6. However, we need to remember that he's got a magic sword, which is +1. So he actually only needs to roll a 5 on 2 dice. And he rolls a 7 anyway, so that's a killed monster. Right, so the fighter has just walked into a level 2 chamber just here. This is the guard room. Okay, now rooms hold 1 monster, chambers hold 3 monsters. So the way this works is we draw a level 2 monster. The fighter needs to roll a 3 or more. However, he's got a +1 sword, so 2 or more. Can't fail. Kills that monster. So we put a token in there. That's 1 monster down. He then draws another card for the second monster. And this one is an orc. He needs to roll a 4. So again, +1, needs to roll a 3. That's another one down. Another dead monster. And he then draws a third card. This one is another orc. So again, 4 but +1, so 3. And that is another dead monster. So that's all 3 monsters killed. He then can draw a treasure card. And he draws secret door card. So basically he can move again, free movement, no secret doors are a barrier to him. That is the end of his turn. Right, so this is where I believe the dropped cards are coming into play, the dropped treasure I should say. So the wizard has gone back into room number 2. Room number 2 carried the goblin. The goblin, he needed to hit on a 5. He's rolled a 7, so the goblin is killed. So we need to put a corpse marker on that room, and I believe that he can now pick up this treasure card, which is a sack of gold for 500. So that's going to go with him, and then that number token comes off. because the number 2 down here is now cleared. And that is the end of his turn. So here's the first opportunity to use a spell card with the wizard. So the wizard is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 to there. There is a rule for the wizard where he can stop at a door and cast a spell into the room. So what we do is we draw the monster card, and the monster card is this one, green slime. You can see here that for the wizard he would need to roll an 11 plus on 2 dice. However, the orange marker is the fireball marker, which means he'd only need to roll a 6. You can see there that he can't actually use lightning against green slime. Okay, so we're going to cast a fireball spell, so we need to roll a 6 or more, and we do not. So we discard one of our fireball cards, and then we have to roll 2 dice to see what the effect is of that failure. Now we roll a 4, and on the rule sheet we can see that a 5 or lower for the monster is a miss. So the monster's card goes in the first open number slot and put the matching number token in the room or chamber. So what we would do is we would put the slime card back in number 2, because number 2 is empty again, and then the number 2 from here goes into that room. Now, because the wizard didn't enter that room, he doesn't then have to fight that monster again. Next time round he can choose to leave that monster and go back along the corridor. So going back to this aspect of dropped treasure cards, I've just had a scan through the rules, and there's a section here which says if the monster you defeated was in a room, draw 1 treasure card from the pile of cards matching the room's level. Collect any other treasures dropped there. So if a treasure's dropped in number 1, for example, there's a dropped sack of gold there for 500 GP. If somebody goes into that room and defeats that monster, they then pick up that gold. Okay, and then it says here, if the monster you defeated was in a chamber, collect any treasures that were dropped there by other heroes. Do not draw a treasure card. So basically what you do here, if you're in a room, then you draw 1 card and collect any other treasures that are dropped. If you're in a chamber, so like one of these areas, then you literally just pick up whatever was dropped there. So that makes sense. Just wanted to clarify that, because obviously I hadn't played it like that earlier on. So the wizard has recklessly barged into this room, which is a level 4 room, pulled the card for the monster, which was a hill giant, randomly. There you can fit a hill giant in that tiny little room. This is D&D after all. He needs to roll a 10 to kill the hill giant. Guess what? He rolled a 12. So I've been playing for about 45 minutes to an hour now, and just looking at the scores down here. So Rogue 10,000, Cleric 10,000, Fighter 20,000, Wizard 30,000. The Wizard has got himself into a bit of a sticky situation here and has managed to get 2 kills in this chamber, but the 3rd kill eludes him at the moment. The Rogue, similar situation over here, is trying to get the 3rd kill in this room, but needs to roll a 9, I believe, and keeps rolling lower. The monster that's in this room, this guy needs to roll a 12, so that's taking a while. The fighter, this guy here, who's got a +1 on his sword, he's just finished off 3 monsters in this chamber, and he's currently on 500, 3,000, 6,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,500, but he needs to get to 20,000. And the cleric, who's all the way over here, who has been slowly but surely creeping through level 3 and cleaning out all the rooms, he's actually now on 2,500, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6, 7, 8,000, 9,500, 10,000. Is that right? 2.5, 3, 4.5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, No, he's on 9,500. He needs another 500 GP to secure victory. So that's how close it is at the moment for him. The wizard is currently on 7,000. Because of this situation, he keeps having to drop treasure cards. And the poor old rogue is currently on 5,000, so he's in last place. So yeah, I'm going to stop playing now because I need to do some reviewing of where I am and what's been going on. So there are a couple of cards that came up from the treasure piles that I didn't play. First one is ESP Medallion. Now this one basically gives you the opportunity to look at a monster card. This is a level 3 treasure card. So it's worth 500 gold points, gold pieces I should say. And the rule for this one says your hero must be in a space next to a room or a chamber. Draw a monster card matching the level of that room or chamber. You can use the ESP medallion in the middle of moving, but if you choose not to enter, your turn ends. So basically it gives you an opportunity to decide if you want to go into that room or not. You can only use it once per turn, but it's unlimited in terms of how many times during a game you can use it. And the other one is Crystal Ball. You can see the card there. It's worth 2,000 gold points. You can check a monster and treasure card. And again, for this one, it says do not move your hero or character or encounter. Do not move your hero or encounter a monster. Instead, choose any room or chamber on the board and draw a monster card and a treasure card if you choose a room matching its level. In either case, do not show the monster or treasure card to other players. Put the cards in the first open number slot, but keep them face down. Put the matching number token in the room or chamber. The next time a hero enters that space, the monster will be revealed. So that's basically taking one of these numbered tokens and putting it in the room that you decide to check, and then the card and the treasure card, the monster card and the treasure card from that number will go in that slot over here. So obviously corresponding in number 5. So those are quite good cards, and again that one you can play once per turn, but you can play as many times during the game as you want to. So those are 2 cards that didn't come up in this game in terms of using them, but they are available. The other one that came up that I played that didn't get onto the video was the slide trap. Now the slide trap, if I can find one, don't think I can now. I think they're all in level 1, maybe. Let me see, is there one here? We got... No, don't know. There's not one obviously to hand, but the slide trap basically is a card that would move you to another area. So if you draw it in a room or a chamber, it tells you to move your token to a corresponding room or chamber in another level. So one I had earlier on was with the wizard, and he drew the slide counter here, and I had to move him either to level 3 or level 5, and I chose to move him here, and that's where he ended up getting stuck in this eternal loop of trying to roll 12 to kill that 3rd monster. So game mechanics wise, that's the only thing really that came up that I couldn't figure out, because there was a point at which I thought I was going to be in a loop, because the defeated monster makes you move back 1 square in the direction that you came from, which kind of meant that I thought I needed to move from there to there, and then from there to there, because I was moving back every time I was defeated. However, it does actually say to you to draw miss a turn token instead, so that obviously stops that eternal loop from taking place. Otherwise, the rules make reasonable sense. Nothing really that I would say is not obvious or easy to figure out. And as I say, if you've got an hour on your hands or a couple of hours and you've got a gaming group or a group of friends that you want to get together for an easy, straightforward dungeon crawl, this makes sense. Retail's between 25 and 35 pounds, I believe, for the game. One thing I did think about was actually swapping out the tokens for 3D miniatures. The issue with that is the size of the board squares as you move are really quite small. So it's with a larger sort of 20-25 mil miniature base, it would be quite difficult, I think, to kind of figure out which of these stones that you actually should be on. So smaller miniatures may be easier. But anyway, there you go. That's the only thing that I would say would restrict that from happening. Otherwise, yeah, good game. Liked it. Would I play it again? Yeah, probably would do. It'd be good to get my regular gaming group together again to give this a go, because I think they'd enjoy it. And as I say, it's got options. You know, you've got single player mode. You can play up to 8 people. There's an opportunity, I think, to actually really make a sort of a league out of this game, depending on the kind of the number of players that you've got. Downsides, it's all cardboard. It's all cardboard and paper. You know, I think, yeah, obviously that keeps the cost down, which is great. But I would like to have seen at least some sort of 3D miniatures of some description, just to kind of make it a little bit more tactile. But having said that, you know, for the length of the game, it's pretty quick. You know, I think 4 players, you'd probably finish a game in an hour, maybe 90 minutes. So, you know, yeah, there's a lot of handling of tokens going on. So, you know, that's probably going to mean these things are going to wear out fairly quickly if you're playing it a lot. But you know, I guess for what you pay, you know, they are reasonable quality. So that's it. That's Dungeon. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will be back again soon with some more board game content. See you soon.